Hi everybody, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Today I promised that we would be here to talk about where to start with your money when you are constantly feeling like you are a hot mess. I feel that so much because it used to be where it was like, I'm afraid to even look at my money because of how bad it was. And then it turned into, then I'm afraid to look at it and then I'm not checking on it. And then it was kind of like credit card roulette where you would like swipe your card and you're like, is it gonna go through? I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. We're just gonna go for it and see what happens. What could go wrong? And then it gets declined when you have a grocery cart full of stuff and you're like, well, this is terrible, and then you cry. Because I have been there before with like screaming children, and I've been pregnant and there before. It's terrible. So I wanted to give you guys one of the things that was key for me in understanding like the feast and famine when it comes to budgeting or when it comes to your money in general. So we all know what it feels like when you get paid and it's in your account and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to take me a good old-fashioned money bath because I can. I am so flush with cash. Everything is good. Like the sun has shone upon my face. Life is peachy keen. And then you don't realize like, oh, next week I have 8 bills that are coming out and I actually don't have any money to spend, even though it looks like I have a ton of money. We've all been there before, and this is my way of kind of working backwards. This is kind of a brief overview of what I call my paycheck budgeting system. And it's one of my favorite things to do because it helps you to understand where your money is. And literally all you need is your bank statement and a calendar. And you can go online and like Google free calendars, like free blank calendars, and you can print them out. First step, number 1, is you have to get your bank statement. Whether it's your bank statement or your credit card statement, we're not going into details about like who spent too much or what is this expense right now. We are just looking at your bills because those are the things every single month that are unchanging. Those are the things that no matter what, you know you're gonna have to pay rent, you know you're gonna have to pay your electric bill, you know you're gonna have to pay for the internet. All of those things that are recurring bills that either automatically get drafted out of your account or you have to actually send in a bill through the mail, the good old-fashioned mail. You are going to take your bank statement and just highlight, or you can just look at it and write it down onto your little handy-dandy calendar. You are going to write down all of your bills, all of the things. And I've made a little mock-up because what is life without a visual aid? So this is my little pretend budget here. So we have the green is money in, the red or the pink is money out. Those are the bills that are getting paid. The money in is in green, so anytime that you get paid, I do it in a different color or I highlight it in a different color so that I can see where my income is, because that's another thing that you want to make sure that you're tracking is when are you getting paid? Is it bi-weekly? And that's for a totally different thing, which we'll cover in the Saturday column. So let's just say this week we have gas and water, sewer, and trash, which come out on Monday. We know that that's going to come out every single month. $50 for the gas bill, $50 for water and sewer. And then later on in the week, we have Netflix at $14 and Hulu at $24. And we know that that's going to come out. And we know that every Thursday we get paid. And so I have it for this pretend budget here, or a $1,000 a week payday. And then they have a side hustle income of $200, which is fantastic. And so let's pretend that there are 2 credit card bills that come out the day after payday. One of them's for a minimum of $75, the other one's for a minimum of $10. And so at the end of this week, we're looking at it and saying, well, that's great and all. I made $1,200 and only spent $223. That's awesome. Except for the fact that if you looked at it like I can spend the rest of the money that I made, so that's like $970 odd, right? You would forget the fact that on Monday of the next week, you have to pay $200 to internet and to your insurance. You have a car bill that's due, and then you have the electric bill that comes out. It's not actually that you have $900 to spend, because in this period of time, before you get paid again, you have another $500 that's going to come out of your account. And if you spent like you had $900 flush in your account, like whoop, whoop, money, you would be in trouble. Right? Nobody wants that to happen. And so then we have another payday, and then there's the big kahuna. which is rent, because that's usually more than a paycheck for a lot of people. And in this case, it's the same. So if you get paid and you think, cool beans, $1,200, I'm set. You forget that that entire paycheck plus $200 has to go to rent. So this is a really good way, and this is not a, like, we're not diving into like whether or not that's too much or too little for rent. Same thing with internet. We are just trying to fill out the calendar so that you can see when you are getting bills every single month that you need to account for. And the reason is then you can know, like, I don't actually have $1,200 in my bank, even though today looks good, tomorrow looks good. What's going to happen on Monday is I'm going to lose 200 of it immediately, and then I'm going to lose another 220 the next day. So it's a really important thing to be able to just see everything in the calendar. Plus, then you can make sure that you are able to pay all of your bills on time, because late fees are terrible and we never want to incur them. So it helps a lot too to see for the credit card bills as well. If you do wind up having a lot of extra money in 1 week and you're like, you know, I could put some of this to savings, I can put some of this into paying off a credit card, paying off my car early, you can do that. But you always want to make sure, at least this is what I do, is I make sure that you write down the minimum amount for each credit card. So that if there is a month where things need to get lean, or where you're like, you know, I don't have any wiggle room in my spending this month, like there's zero wiggle room, that means that you can go right back down to your minimum payments without worrying. That's a big thing. Always pay a little bit extra, even if it's like $5 or $10 extra. There is no such thing as too little to be paying to a credit card. Even if you feel like it is, pay it off early is like 100% my favorite thing in the entire world to do. This is like the bare bones thing that I 100% recommend you start with when you're doing your budget, is to look at it as a calendar. See when you're actually getting paid. See what bills are due and what day they're getting taken out of your account if it's automatic, so that you can plan for it. Then you get an actual number of how much you can spend after your bills are taken care of. So that could be for things like, you know, your groceries, which is obviously like everybody needs groceries, guys. We're not pretending like you don't, but that's a fluctuating thing. So let's say you wind up this week, you know that you have to go grocery shopping, but you only have like $100 of wiggle room to get from this week to the next week. That's how much you know that you have, and you're not worried about overdrawing your account. You know that you still have $100 to spend, but you don't have to worry about it messing up all of these things for the next week. You don't have to worry about overdraft fees or non-sufficient fund fees or bounce checks or anything like that, because you know what's going to come out. This is my favorite thing to do. I absolutely love it every single month, and it does help a lot, especially if you are like me. I'm a very visual person, and being able to actually see when I'm getting paid how much it is, and then when the bills come out, how much those are. And then it gives me an actual number of how much I have to spend. And so that's my big thing is, guys, print out, go find, if you don't have a planner, you can print out a free Google calendar, or a free calendar from Google, just Google blank calendars, and you'll find some. And that is a really, really helpful way to kind of get started. Because then again, guys, this is all about being able to start looking at your money. And one of the easiest things to do when you start to look at your money is to find the things that are recurring, because it's not something that is usually like it's not usually a trigger. Like when you're talking about, like, if my husband spent too much when he went out to lunch for work, or if I spent too much going to Home Goods, or whatever it is that is like your spending thing, or like, you know, Amazon, let's be real. Whatever it is, we're not getting into a fight about money. These are just the bills. And it's another really great way to look at it and go, what is this that I'm spending $30 a month on? I don't even remember paying for that. Why am I still paying for it? And it gives you an opportunity to make sure that you're saving money on subscriptions that you might not even remember that you had. Because there is nothing worse. I keep getting, there's one subscription box. I keep forgetting to cancel it. It's a quarterly box, and I keep forgetting to cancel it because it's a quarterly box, and so it doesn't show up every single month. And so I usually try to do this for a 3-month period of time, because then you can average things out and see what is coming out quarterly. But it's also just one of those things where it's like you don't remember. You just don't remember what comes out. If you have a bill that comes out and it's a subscription and you're like, I did not remember that I had this, reach out to the company, say, I totally forgot that I signed up for this. Please cancel this. Is there any way that I can get a refund? Remember, guys, especially when you're asking for like a refund on something, be cordial. You're talking to another person on the other end, and the nicer you are, the farther that you will get with it. So one of the things on here is that I have for the electric bill is $80. There are a lot of things like your gas for your house, or if you have propane or oil or electric or whatever it is, any of those things that typically vary month to month, you can call your company, your provider, and ask them if you can get onto a budget plan. And what that basically does is it averages out the cost for the entire year of that service and lets you pay that all year. So for us, we have electric. In the summer, we use electric for the window units for the air conditioner. So in the summer, our electric bill is really, really high. But in the winter, it's really, really low. With our gas, we have a gas furnace. So in the winter, our gas bill is really, really high. But in the summer, it's really, really low. So for each one of them, I have us on the budget plan. I know how much every single month I budget for gas and electric, and it will not change. And it means that our bill in the summer is not going to actually be $400. That it's going to be something a little bit lower, because in the winter, again, we barely ever use electric. So that's another fun little tip that you can do, is reach out to your companies and see if you can get a discount or get onto a budget plan or something like that, so that you can plan ahead for those expenses. Because again, there's nothing worse than getting a bill in the mail and it's like, how much is that? What? Like, we're gonna live in the dark, guys. Better bundle up, because that is just way too much money. Okay, guys, so that was all that I had this morning for you, is to go to Google, print out a blank calendar so that you can start filling in your bills and go through at least last month's bank statement or credit card statement and fill out when you have big bills that come out of your account. Anything that comes out every single month, fill it out there. And then we can dig into talking about lowering expenses and finding more frugal ways to do things in another video. But this is just a really easy, non-judgmental, non-super painful, at least, way to start. All right, guys, I will talk to you guys again, and I'm hoping that we can do these more often now that my kids are back in school. Praise Jesus. All right, guys, bye.